Martin Lewis has warned that our energy system is broken and the government has no plan that he can see to bring energy bills down, despite it being a manifesto pledge.
The Environment Secretary Steve Reid joins us now. Very good morning to you, Steve Reid. Now, you're announcing a record...
Morning, Susanna.
£2.65 billion to build and maintain flood defences over the next 2 years to protect thousands of homes. I'm sure that will be very welcome. What is not welcome news this morning is Martin Lewis's warning that energy bills are about to go up again. The quote from your manifesto back in July, "We will save families hundreds of pounds on their bills, not just in the short term, but for good." When is that going to happen?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm here at the Ipswich tidal barrier talking about our flood defences, which have fallen into the worst condition on record under the previous government. We're increasing funding by over a quarter over the next 2 years so that we can start to repair those flood defences that were really failing to do their job and build new flood defences. And it's important we do that because it's lives and livelihoods that are at risk because of the previous government's dereliction of duty. One in six British people live in a home that is at risk of flooding. So we have to...
energy bills is the question I asked you.
Well, on energy bills, this government is sprinting towards making this country a clean energy superpower. If we take back control of our own energy, wind, wave, solar and nuclear, generated here in Britain, rather than being reliant on despots like Vladimir Putin for our energy security, we can make sure that we have a more secure supply chain of energy.
Gonna happen?
But also, ultimately, it will reduce the costs of energy to British homes and British businesses as well. Well, we're sprinting towards becoming a clean energy economy by 2030. That's why we're pushing forward so many of these growth proposals that you hear the government talking about. The intention of doing that is to take back control of our own energy from dictators like Vladimir Putin, but so we can lower bills for households and for businesses. It's not going to happen overnight. No one ever said it would happen overnight, but we are sprinting towards it.
OK. Energy bills dropped to £1,500 typical usage in July 2024. Then, after you came into government, they rose by 9.5% to £1,717 in October 2024. You've scrapped the winter fuel allowance for most pensioners, which was worth £200 to £300 a year. And in January, the cap rose 1%. You promised you would save families hundreds of pounds on their bills in the short term. 2030 does not feel like the short term. And in fact, it's not true. Prices have gone up.
What you're describing, Susanna, are the vagaries of a system that is based on fossil fuel that we have to import from overseas.
What I'm describing is a manifesto pledge that people will think you haven't kept.
No one ever said it was going to happen overnight. You can't just transition the economy immediately from dependency on oil and gas to clean energy. It will save people. It will do two things. It will save people money on their energy bills, and it will mean we can take back control of our own energy because we generate it here in the UK rather than having to buy it from overseas when it's at the mercy of despots like Vladimir Putin and his illegal invasion of Ukraine. Nobody thought we could do that within 7 months.
So you shouldn't... Was it a mistake to say in the short term? You'd save them hundreds of pounds in the short term?
I think by 2030, getting this economy to be a clean energy economy, the first in the world to get there by 2030, is pretty quick when you're looking at the state of things that we inherited. There had been no onshore wind permitted under the previous government since 2015. We've already gone ahead and permitted that. That is because this government is serious about the UK taking control of our own energy, and it will be clean energy generated here in the UK. It takes time to transition an economy in a way like that, but it will cut people's... It's going up, Susanna, because we're currently dependent on fossil fuel that we import from overseas. We are changing that radically, and we're going faster than any other country on the planet to doing it.
OK.
Steve Reid, let's turn to bins, which has also been a big topic this morning. Lots of response from our viewers. You said in the autumn you were going to end the Wild West of bin policy. A new sheriff in town. It's reported today Bristol, Carmarthenshire, East Ayrshire are planning to change their black bin collection to monthly. I mean, as Environment Secretary, what do you think about a monthly bin collection?
No, I wouldn't be happy if it was the council where I live that was doing that. But the point of local democracy is that councils will take their own decisions about how frequently they want to collect the bins, and their own local residents will...
I thought the new sheriff was ending the Wild West. You're saying it's the Wild West?
Well, the Wild West was the Conservative government, the previous Conservative government, had put it into law that people were going to have to move to 7 different kinds of bins for collecting their waste. That is the Wild West, the mess it would have caused all over the streets. We are reducing that down so we don't have to go anywhere like that. It's for local authorities to take their own decisions about how they collect the bins. I'm aware that in Bristol, the Green-led council there has decided to move to monthly bin collections. Well, it's for people living in Bristol to pronounce on what they think of their council's decision there. They'll get a vote at a local election and they can change the makeup of their council if that's what they want to do. I don't think it is in line with strong support for local democracy for the Secretary of State in Whitehall to tell every single council how and when to collect their bins. I hope they will take sensible decisions. Sure. We are reducing the number of bins they will need to get rid of their waste. That should make it easier for them to save money and make sure that frequent bin collections are maintained. That's what I would want them to do. But we have local democracy in this country, Ed. As a local voter, what would you vote for? How often should your black bin be collected? I would vote for my bins to be collected more frequently than monthly. But I also want to know that my recycling is being collected and it's being disposed of in a responsible way, reused and recycled. Okay. And another thing this government is doing is we're moving to something called the circular economy. That's a bit of jargon, but what it means is that you work sector by sector in the economy to reduce waste so that we can reuse and repurpose as many materials as possible. That means less waste being left lying around on our streets, less fly tipping, less rubbish to collect in the future.
We've asked you 2 specific issues which sort of come under your brief as Environment Secretary, but we want to talk to you just about one issue that's much bigger than that, and that is we spoke to the mum of one of the victims of the Nottingham killer this morning who wants a public inquiry, a statutory public inquiry into all the failings in his case that led to those 3 deaths. Do you support a statutory public inquiry, and is that imminent?
Well, I mean, first of all, can I express my sympathies again to the families and loved ones of those people who were so horrifically murdered in Nottingham when this happened. My colleague Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has said this morning that there will be an inquiry into what went wrong because there were failings at every single stage in the management of this individual. It should never have happened. It's right that we should have a visible process by which we can learn those lessons and make sure they are applied so this kind of thing can never happen again. And I think Wes has done the right thing by making that announcement.
Steve Reid, thanks very much indeed for your time this morning.